Hello and welcome to the Work and Family Experiences Study training video. My name is Kristen Shockley. I'm a professor of psychology at Baruch College of the City University of New York. I've included a picture so you can put a face to my name. I'm doing the study along with Tammy Allen at the University of South Florida. If at any point throughout the study you have questions or comments, you should contact me, and I've listed my email address and phone number for your reference. Before we begin the training session, I want to give you a quick overview of what we'll talk about. First, we'll go through the purpose of the study, followed by the procedure and how to use the online survey, and then we'll close with a discussion about the compensation process. Very broadly speaking, the purpose of the study is to examine daily work and family experiences of working adults. We're specifically interested in an idea known as work-family conflict. You've probably heard this term before, but I want to give you a formal definition. In this study, we're referring to it as anytime work and family produce competing demands. There's a lot of different situations that could result in work-family conflict, but I'll give you a few examples just to make sure we're thinking along the same lines. So let's say that you have a sick child, you realize in the morning that she's sick, and you decide to stay home from work that day to care for her. So that would be a situation of competing demands in the sense that you have a family member to care for, but you also have a commitment to work that day. Another example might be if you have a deadline at work and you realize you're going to have to stay late and you'll miss dinner with your family. Or it could be something even shorter term, such as your mother calling you during work. She's upset about something and talks to you for 30 minutes about it. So you interrupt your workday to listen to her talk. We want you to think really broadly in terms of this idea of work-family conflict. So we'll ask you questions about whether you experience this or not each day. And anything you think might fit this definition, please go ahead and include when you're responding to the survey. As a final point, I'll say sometimes we have things that we can schedule in advance that involve conflict between work and family. But because it's scheduled in advance, we might not think it's still conflict, but we want you to go ahead and count that in the study. So an example could be if I know I have to travel for work and I'm going to miss my son's birthday. Well, I know about that ahead of time. I can tell him maybe we celebrate the birthday early, but it's still conflict in the sense that when I'm gone, I'm missing that family obligation, right? There was competing demands with being at work and being home to celebrate a birthday. Now that we've defined work-family conflict, let's talk more about the specific procedures you'll follow as a participant in this study. The study requires participation each day for 10 consecutive days. This will include the weekends. The study will begin next Monday, so the Monday after you watch this training video, and will end Wednesday of the following week, and you will respond every day in that time period. We ask that during the 10 study days for you to pay special attention to your work and family experiences. Each night before you go to bed, you will fill out a short online survey. It may take 5 minutes or less, or it could take up to 10 depending on what happened that day. I will ask questions just about that day's events. So you'll take it 10 times. It will be the same survey each time. Now, we're only asking you to report things on this online survey, but we've also provided another instrument for you, the paper journal, if you'd like to record information on that. The reason for this is that work-family conflict can occur at any time during the day, but you're only going to report on it at night, thinking about that day's events. I know some people do better if they can write things down as they occur, because we'll ask you some pretty detailed questions, as I'll show you in a minute. So if you're someone who thinks you would do better writing it as it occurs, please use this paper journal, which we'll send to you via email, to go ahead and jot down notes. And it lists all of the questions that you'll be asked on that online survey. Again, this is entirely optional, but if you do use the paper journal, we ask that you transfer the information from that to the online survey each night. So to access the online daily survey that I've been discussing, you will click the link listed here. You'll click this same link every night for the 10 study days. So I have already brought it up here on my computer, a special version, so I'll go ahead and pull that up. So this isn't the first question of the survey, there's a few before this, but I just want to focus on this section. So the first question asks if you experienced work-family conflict today? For illustration purpose, I'm going to say yes. Then it asks how many work-family conflict episodes you experienced today. What we mean by this is distinct episodes that are dealing with distinct conflicting situations. So it could be that you're dealing with a sick child, and let's say you did go to work, and you're checking in, you're calling the babysitter throughout the day. That's still one conflict situation because it's the same competing demands. Let's say you had the sick child, you went to work, and then your mother called you at work, talked for 30 minutes about her problems. That would be two distinct episodes because they're two different contents of the work and family domain. For illustration's sake, I'm just going to select one. But if you had two or three, the survey would tell you to first report information about the first one, then the second one, and then the third one, and so forth. So you'll be responding to each of the episodes separately. So you only selected one, so it's going to say, please describe the work-family conflict situation. So here we want you to give as much detail as you can about what happened. Why do you consider this to be work-family conflict? What were the two things that were producing those competing demands? The second question asks how you resolve the situation. So often when we have competing demands, we have to make a decision. Are we going to pick work? Are we going to go to work and find a babysitter for the child? Or are we going to pick family? Are we going to stay home and take care of the child ourselves? Sometimes we're able to actually resolve it in a way that we can do both. We want you to describe here what you did, how you made a decision about that event. And then the last question you won't always answer, but sometimes you can't resolve a work-family conflict situation right away or even that day. If that's the case, just go ahead and answer the third question, describing when you anticipate that it will be resolved. The fourth question asks about specific time information of three things: when the conflict was realized, dealt with, and when it actually occurred. Okay. These might be the same time, they might be different times. So let's say I get to work and realize I'm never going to make my deadline unless I work until 11 p.m. So I realize that at, let's say, 10 a.m. So I call my spouse around noon. I say, hey, I'm not going to make it for dinner. Can you pick up the kids or whatever responsibilities I was supposed to do? So I dealt with it. I kind of managed it at noon. But the conflict actually occurred when I missed dinner, which would be at 6:30. Okay? So those may, again, be the same or they may be different. Try your best to estimate the time for each of those. And please include AM or PM in doing so. The next set of questions ask about how people at work reacted to your work-family conflict situation. So the first question gets at how much pressure people at work, and it can be, we've given examples, supervisor, subordinate, coworkers, etc., to choose work over family. The next two questions get at two types of support. The first is social support, and the second is tangible support. Social support is really just when someone's sitting with you, listening to your problems, giving advice, kind of dealing with the emotional effects of a conflict situation, but they're not actually doing something to modify the situation or resolve it. They're just making you feel better. Tangible support, on the other hand, is actually doing something to modify the situation. So someone taking action so that it helps you. It could be if you need to go home for a family emergency, a coworker saying, I'll take over your task this afternoon. That would be an example of tangible support. And then last, we ask how important the work activity was to you. So that specific work activity that was producing the competing demands in this conflict situation. Then you'll see the next set of questions are identical, except for they're on the family side. So how much pressure from people at home to choose family over work, how much social support, tangible support, and then finally, how important was the family activity to you. So this is the end of the work-family conflict questions. If I press next now, it would take me to a few more questions about the day, and then I'd be done with the survey. If I had had two conflicts, I'd press next, and then it would say, okay, now report on the second conflict event, and I'd answer all the same questions that I just did, but thinking about that second event. Okay, so that is the gist of the daily survey. Now, before you begin the study, we have a few things that we ask that you do. There's actually two additional surveys you need to take. The first one is very short. It should take you about 30 seconds, and it just involves creating a 6-digit unique code. This is so that we can link your surveys from day to day without you having to provide your name or any other identifying information. That's an important thing for us in terms of analyzing the data later on. We'll also use this unique code to send you reminders before the study begins and reminders in the morning if you happen to miss a survey the night before. For this reason, we must have contact information connected with the ID number. So if you click on the link for this survey, it will just ask you to enter that code and then enter either an email address or cell phone number for text messaging, if whichever one you prefer, and that's the way that we'll contact you with the reminders. The second thing you need to do before the study begins on Monday is to fill out what we're calling the baseline survey. This is a survey that also asks about your work and family experiences, but it's different than the daily survey that I just showed you. It's longer, it should take about 15 minutes, and it asks about how things are generally in your life rather than just daily like the daily survey will do. Okay, this is important because we want to have a baseline to sort of compare your daily experiences to your general ones. And again, there is the link for that survey. So please do both of those before Monday. So here's just a quick overview to put all that information together for you to show you what surveys and links to use before the study begins and during the 10 study days. Now, after the study is over, as a thank you for participating, we will send you a $10 gift card to Amazon.com via email. We'll send that with one week of study completion. If at any point you decide to withdraw from the study, you are welcome to do so, but this $10 gift card amount will be prorated based on the amount of time you did participate. We're also offering an extra incentive for participation, which is a raffle. So we have two prizes of $125 that we'll be raffling. We will only have about 45 people participating in the study, give or take a few. So the odds for winning this are actually quite good, about 2 in 45. So what we'll do is we'll enter one ticket in your name for each survey you complete on time. So if you completed all 10 on time, that would be 10 tickets. As a bonus, if you do them all 10 on time, we will also give you 3 additional tickets. So you would have 13 entries in the raffle compared to other people who may have less if they didn't have perfect completion. Okay, so those odds I stated aren't perfect, but if everyone was perfectly compliant, they would be about 2 in 45. And we will do that once all of the participant information has been collected, which should be by the end of April. So that concludes the training video. I want to thank you for participating in this study. It really represents a valuable contribution to science and to our understanding of how people deal with work and family. Again, please do not hesitate to contact me, Kristen, with any questions or comments throughout the study. Thank you.